Good day, good people. I made the decision to do this web series because going through the process of honoring my father's wishes, my paternal grandma's wishes, to get on the rolls was something that was expressed to me from childhood, from age 15 and up. So in my mind, when my father and my grandmother first kept pressing me about get on the rolls, I wanted to say, well, how? And I didn't understand why they didn't just do it. I was the kid. Why y'all didn't just... So as an adult, now that they're both passed away, now that I am diving into my ancestry very seriously, and I found out that I'm a Fulani and Kanuri woman on my mother's side, I've always known that I was a Narragansett on my father's side. In point of fact, I'm Narragansett whether or not I'm on the rolls. That's just the paperwork. By blood, I'm Narragansett. By blood, I'm Fulani and Kanuri. That's it. But for other reasons, I want my name to be on the rolls and to honor that request. So this is my journey to get on the rolls. It started with me reaching out to two of my cousins. They're twins, Reggie and Ronald. I'm not going to say their last name, but yeah, my cousins Reggie and Ronald, who we haven't seen each other since children. I looked them up on Google because they were in the music industry in the UK. They came from the United States, went over to the UK, and they got into the music industry and did very well. So I knew I'd be able to find them. I'm not sure why it took me this long to do it, but I did it. And once we got in contact, yeah, he remembered me just like I remembered him, even though we were children the last time we saw each other. And one of them lives far from me. The other one lives within the same state I live in. So that's pretty cool. We've made plans to meet up. And he started speaking about getting on the rolls. So he ignited that spark again. And I was like, you know, my father and my grandmother used to always say that, but how do you do it? So then he shared his experience of being on the rolls since the 80s, but he didn't know that he was on the rolls until he tried to get his daughter on the rolls. And then going through the process, he found out that his name was already there. Getting on the rolls, it's not easy. He also directed me to, there's a Facebook page where you share photos, and he told me to go ahead and reach out to them to try to be included in that community of Narragansett people. And the person who administers that page, when I spoke to her, she was like, as soon as I saw your name, yeah, because I was planning to look for you myself. And so when you popped up, it was an automatic yes. I was like, what you mean? She said, I know who you are. I know who you are. I'm glad. Like, she's... All my life, well, I'm going to share some pictures of my grandma here. But all my life, I've been told that, well, I knew that, yes, I'm African American. Literally, the American part comes in because I'm Native American, Narragansett to be specific, in the area that the United States calls Rhode Island. And the problem came in, though, because my blood grandfather, died when my father was 9. And grandma stayed single for however long she stayed single, and then she married an Italian and Irish man. And they used to come pick me up, and we used to go on trips all over the United States, even took road trips up to Canada, Niagara Falls, all that good stuff. And but people used to ask me, was I white or half white or whatever? I'd be like, no, my grandmother is full-blooded, and I've said that my whole life. Said it my whole life. She just looks like she's white. She's not white. She's Native American. She's not white. She's Native American. That was all my life, right? So, in talking to the administrator of the Facebook page, I collect all the pictures, and I'm sharing all the pictures, and family is like, oh, that's my aunt, like recognizing my grandma, recognizing my aunties, recognizing my great, recognizing me as part of the family. She shared a story with me about my grandma and her looking white. So my great grandmother, Catherine, had 12 children. Her husband was a black man, and 11 of her children are with her and her husband. But my grandma was her first child, and the only one that looks like she looks. Clearly, she had a different father than the rest of her siblings. So there was one name that was said, even if I look her up and like where she's buried, the obituary stuff, it names this person, but that wasn't her father. So, long story short, the person who is my biological great-grandfather raped my great-grandmother. He was a white man, a white boy. He was a teenager. She was a teenager. She was a maid for his family, and his family had gone out of town, and she still went to work, and on that day, he did what he did. So, all my life I said, my grandma, she just looks white. She's not white. And she's not white. She's partially, whatever that even means. It's just, as an African American, knowing the history of rape of black women, African women, and how prevalent it was, is one thing, because I'm like, I know that history, but I'm removed from it. Hearing this story and knowing that somebody who was a huge part of my childhood was the result of a rape is tough. And then how do you reconcile that person being in your blood? Like, some people will be like, yeah, I'm not proud of it. And it's a lot to deal with. So yeah, this is my journey to getting on the rolls. And there's a lot to it. It's not just about showing your birth certificate. My father and my mother were married. My father's on my birth certificate. I thought it would just be that. It's not. The 1880 report was shared with me, and it's a report that determines who gets to be considered on the rolls. And it was like a 4-year report done by the people who stole the Indians' land, who murdered, raped, all that stuff for the Indians' land that's now called Rhode Island. The amount of money that they had to prove they were Indian for was $5,000. $5,000. The list came down to 300 and something people sharing $5,000, which today would equal to about $154,000 among 300 something people. For land, for a state. So yeah, she got Indian in her family.